We know the central role of the GPO from the reading of the proclamation until the evacuation on the Thursday. And that evacuation went out of the GPO into Henry Street, Moore Street, Moore Lane and the surrounding areas. Every step, every few yards on that route tells a story of the different men and women, the volunteers, the Citizen Army, the IRB, Cumann na mBan, who fought and defended so many places on that route until they dug their way through 10 Moore Street into 14 to 17. And while 14 to 17 have been designated a national monument, it is the opinion of many historians, the relatives, the supporters and many people here that it's the whole area is a battlefield site of immense historical and cultural significance, and it deserves so much more than it is being given. What is suggested, yes, a national monument 14 to 17, but that's going to be accompanied by the total obliteration of the laneways of history. And I don't know what it is about us that we have this disregard for places of historical significance, that all we want to do is knock them down. We lost so much of Viking Dublin, we've lost so much of Tara, the Mendicity Institute, and we very nearly lost Kilmainham Jail. So are we now going to lose another area of great historical significance, and for what? A shopping mall, another shopping centre in an area surrounded by shops and shopping centres, when we see shops being closed like Cleary's and Boyers. When I asked for the independent comprehensive assessment on the site, the Minister refused, saying that an assessment had been carried out. But who was this done by? The same developer who wants to knock down the whole area and would have knocked down 14 to 17 if he'd had the opportunity. And it's the same developer who allowed the whole site, including 14 to 17, to fall into dereliction and disrepair. The Minister also said in a reply that there had been detailed consideration and appraisal of all relevant factors. I find that incredible, because all relevant factors have not been taken into consideration, because if there were, we would be treating the whole area with much more respect to acknowledge all that had gone on, not just in 14 to 17, but on the streets and laneways. The Miles Battlefield report identified the whole area as a monument, and it acknowledged what went on that journey where so many people were killed. We have O'Brien's Mineral Water Building in Henry Place, occupied by the volunteers. The White House also occupied and held by Michael Collins. Number 10, where the first Council of War was held, and an overnight stay. The bottling stores occupied. Hanlon's 20 to 21, where the surrender order was accepted by the volunteers. And then the O'Rahilly Parade, that most moving place there, where the letter was written from the O'Rahilly to his wife. How could we possibly say that a comprehensive assessment was carried out when all of that is being ignored? That area is the link between the GPO, Kilmainham Jail and Richmond Barracks. So there's a need now for a more innovative, dignified, respectful vision for the area, potential for a historical cultural quarter with appropriate small businesses or arts centres in the area, and of course above all of that, housing, because there was a time when people lived in Moore Street. That type of development very much complement the historic street trading tradition, because a massive shopping centre with discount supermarkets is going to see an end to the traders and the stall holders who are now struggling already. The Taoiseach's words at Leaders' Questions with me was that the decade of centenary commemorative events must be inclusive, sensitive and appropriate. It is not sensitive and it's not appropriate to surround 14 to 17 in this most inappropriate way, being dwarfed by a shopping centre. Permission has been granted for a hotel on Moore Lane. So we're going to lose the O'Rahilly Parade for what? A service entrance to the hotel. I mean, where is that? Where's the appropriateness and the sensitivity in that? I've been asking questions repeatedly of the Minister and I'm not getting answers. Who costed 14 to 17 at 4 million? Why was it costed at that amount? Surely 4 million would have bought the whole terrace. 14, were they purchased by a CPO under the state order? And if so, why could the whole area not be purchased in this way? Who has costed the restoration at 5 million? A contractor has been named for 14 to 17. I have been asking, still no answers. When was that advertised for the tendering process? How many tenders were received? Who and why and how the particular contractor was chosen? And then the irony of ironies, Chartered Land team that had as its plan the destruction of the whole area, it's their ministerial consent order that is being adopted. I want to quote from Dr. Pat Wallace, who said that any consent should be mindful of the national historical importance of the whole Moore Street area. Seamus Lynham said the national monument exists within a historic battlefield. Minister Maureen O'Sullivan, when she was in Environment, said there are specific guidelines in regard to developments that affect a protected structure or an architectural conservation area. The Imperial War Museum The only city-based 20th century battlefield to survive in all of Europe. Only battlefield site to survive, and that is under threat now. I go back to Dr. Wallace's words. He says, once you allow the destruction of buildings and their neighbourhood ambience, you cannot bring them back. We cannot bring them back if we allow them to be destroyed. OK, if you don't want to take the Fianna Fáil bill, but could you come up with a bill, come up with something that would respect the whole area for the historical significance that it is, because that would be fitting, that would be dignified, and that would be respectful.
Thank you, Deputy. Could I ask you, Deputy, to move that the debate be adjourned?
I move the adjournment.